First of all, thank you so much for the amazing response on the last video. And as promised, today we're diving deep into the story of Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. We'll explore who he fought and exactly how this terrifying demon met his end. And trust me, it took not one, not two, but 4 demon slayers to take him down, and 3 of them were hashiras. So if you're interested, keep watching. Kokushibo first crosses paths with muichiro Tokito, and the moment Tokito sees him, he literally freezes. That expression on his face? You've never seen anything like it, neither in the manga nor the anime. And honestly, can you blame him? If you show Kokushibo's face to a 4 or 5-year-old kid, they're guaranteed to have nightmares. Now coming back to Tokito, he explains his reaction by saying that Kokushibo is on a completely different level. Not just from regular demons, but from all the upper moons. There's something majestic, something ancient and powerful about him. The difference in strength is so overwhelming, even Tokito's body refuses to fight. It's like a prey instinctively sensing a predator. Kokushibo, on the other hand, is surprised to see Tokito and asks for his name. Then he reveals something shocking. Kokushibo is actually Tokito's ancestor. They're from the same bloodline, the one Kokushibo abandoned when he became a demon. This revelation shakes Tokito to his core. He even suspects that Kokushibo might be the original user of the first breathing style. But Tokito manages to stay calm and push those thoughts aside. Impressed by his composure, Kokushibo actually praises him. But staying calm isn't enough in a battle like this. When Tokito finally attacks, Kokushibo effortlessly dodges it and appears right behind him, complimenting his technique. Tokito strikes again, and again Kokushibo dodges it with ease. He's not even trying to fight, he's just talking. Because he's honestly impressed by his descendant, who became a Hashira at just 14 and has the courage to face him. Tokito tells him to shut up and then unleashes his Demon Slayer mark, which completely stuns Kokushibo. He had never seen a mist breather with a mark before. But even in that enhanced state, Tokito's attacks do nothing. His blade can't even touch Kokushibo. And then Kokushibo draws his own sword, and with just the first form of his moon breathing, he slices off Tokito's hand. Just like that. Somehow Tokito manages to stop the bleeding and prepares for another attack. You've got to respect his guts, especially for someone his age. Even Kokushibo silently acknowledges his bravery. But then Kokushibo takes Tokito's own sword, and using it, hangs him onto a pole, completely helpless. That's how huge the gap in their strength is. And here's the chilling part. Kokushibo wasn't trying to kill Tokito. He wanted to turn him into a demon. He even tells him, "If you're sad about your arm, become a demon. You can regrow it. And I'm sure Muzan would accept you." At this point, Kokushibo is the last upper moon left, so it makes sense he wants reinforcements. While all this is happening, we see Genya hiding behind a wall, watching everything. He tries to attack Kokushibo using his gun, the same weapon we recently saw in Season 3, but before he can even pull the trigger, his hand is sliced. Of course, it's Kokushibo. Genya realizes his hand is gone. Tokito, still hanging from the pole, tries to break free but fails. Genya, with just one hand left, draws his sword and attacks, but it's no use. Kokushibo cuts off his other hand too. Then he realizes something terrifying. Genya has been eating demons to gain strength. Kokushibo immediately strikes again, this time slicing Genya's body in half. Tokito can only watch, still struggling to move. Kokushibo is genuinely surprised that Genya isn't dead, even after being split in two. He tells him that 3 years ago he fought another swordsman who ate demons. But when he sliced that guy in half, he died instantly. Genya is different. So Kokushibo figures, maybe I'll have to behead him. He calls Genya a fake demon and goes in for the final strike, aiming straight for his neck. It's almost over for Genya. Until, in the very last moment, his big brother Sanemi arrives and saves him. And oh man, what an entrance. Absolute badass. I'm sure this scene is going to look incredible in the anime. And then, we witness a massive revelation. If you've followed the previous episodes of Demon Slayer, you would have definitely noticed one thing in this one. Sanemi's intense hatred for his brother, Genya. But here's the twist. Sanemi wasn't doing it out of spite. In fact, everything he did was to protect Genya. He didn't want him to join the Demon Slayers. He wanted his little brother to stay away from demons and live a normal, peaceful life, with a wife and kids. And interestingly, Tanjiro had told Genya something similar. Even though they fought, Tanjiro saw Genya's worth. Despite Sanemi's hatred, Genya never sensed any malice in his brother's scent. Why? Because deep down, Sanemi always loved his younger brother. Hearing all this brings tears to Genya's eyes. Then, in a frustrated rage, Sanemi launches a fierce attack on Kokushibo for what he did to his little brother. And honestly, if you're an older sibling, you'd feel that same fury. If someone hurt your little brother, wouldn't you lose it too? When Kokushibo attacks first, Sanemi dodges it with ease, and that instantly shows the gap between Tokito and Sanemi's strength. When Sanemi counterattacks, Kokushibo manages to evade as well. Finally, their blades clash, and the moment shocks Tokito. Sanemi even starts laughing at the sight of Kokushibo's sword. And yeah, I agree. It was downright creepy. Demon Slayer really knows how to make you feel the horror. Their battle intensifies. Sanemi dodges every one of Kokushibo's attacks, but the surrounding pillars start getting sliced apart, one by one. At this point, it feels like Sanemi and Kokushibo are evenly matched. But here's the catch. While Kokushibo praises Sanemi's strength, techniques, and physical ability, Sanemi is low-key freaking out. Kokushibo's attacks are layered with multiple blades, each one a different size, unpredictable. No wonder Tokito lost. Even if Sanemi ignored that, Kokushibo's speed stunned him. Just imagine. A demon with regenerative powers and the ability to use breathing techniques. That's not just a fighter. That's a monster. And Sanemi can see that. He knows the insane power and speed Kokushibo possesses. But guess what? He isn't scared. Not even a little. In fact, he's enjoying the fight. Sanemi keeps launching attacks, but none of them leave a scratch. Kokushibo has a counter for everything. Desperate, Sanemi even tries a surprise attack with his leg, but Kokushibo dodges that too. This battle is so intense, I got goosebumps just reading the manga panels. Meanwhile, Kokushibo is in a completely different headspace. Sanemi is struggling just to keep up, while the Upper Moon one feels nostalgic. Because the more he ramped up his power and speed, the more Sanemi kept pushing back. But here's the truth. Sanemi isn't doing fine. His nose is bleeding, and Tokito gets seriously worried. Sanemi himself is hyper-aware. He knows if he slips for even a second, he's dead. Just one slightly off swing and it's over. Then comes the turning point. Kokushibo unleashes his moon-breathing, 6th form, and it devastates Sanemi. Not just him, but everything around him. The poles, the battlefield, it all gets sliced up like a cucumber under a knife. It happened so fast, Genya didn't even realize what went down. After leaving Sanemi in a brutal state, Kokushibo says, "You've lasted surprisingly long, but if you so much as move now, your organs will spill out." But something strange happens. Something Kokushibo can't understand. And then, Sanemi laughs. He says, "Just like cats are drawn to Silvervine, demons are drawn to rare blood." You see, Sanemi's blood is among the rarest of the rare. Its scent alone can make any demon's mouth water. Even in that wrecked state, Sanemi unleashes a powerful wind-breathing, 6th form attack, catching Kokushibo off guard. The demon actually wonders, how is this guy even able to move, let alone fight? Kokushibo admits, by this point in his fights, every Hashira he's faced has already died, especially those this wounded. Yet somehow, Sanemi has managed to stop his own bleeding, and Kokushibo can't figure out how. No ordinary human should be capable of that. And suddenly, Kokushibo finds himself getting intrigued. This fight isn't just fun anymore, it's fascinating. But let's be real, even now, Kokushibo is just toying with him. No ordinary Hashira could defeat him. At one point, when Sanemi tries to attack again, Kokushibo pins his sword to the ground with his foot and aims his blade straight at Sanemi's neck. But Sanemi manages to dodge the attack with the help of Genya's gun and even launches a counterattack on Kokushibo. Still, despite all that effort, Kokushibo doesn't even get a scratch. This throws Sanemi into a hopeless situation, like, what now? And then Kokushibo uses the 3rd form of his moon-breathing technique to push Sanemi back. That's when we get the epic entry of the Hashira I was most excited to see fight in the anime, the stone pillar, Gyomei. As soon as Gyomei arrives, he says just one thing to Sanemi. Stitch up that stomach wound first. Why? Because he's going to face Upper Moon 1 alone, even if just for a little while. Now, here's where you really understand Gyomei's strength. Sanemi, who doesn't take anyone seriously, just responds with, "Alright, sorry." Yeah, he even says, "sorry." That tells you everything about Gyomei's presence. From this point on, the real battle against Kokushibo begins, and when Kokushibo uses his transparent world ability to analyze Gyomei's entire body, even he is shocked. Gyomei's physique is refined to the utmost limits, and in his 300 years as a demon, Kokushibo has never seen a swordsman like this. In fact, just the way Gyomei spins his chained flail is enough to shift the air around him. Kokushibo can literally feel the change in atmosphere. Gyomei then unleashes a series of relentless attacks. Even though he has just one weapon, he uses it in 3 ways: the axe, the chains, and the flail ball. And if you're thinking those chains can be broken easily, nope. They're made of extremely high-grade steel, and even Kokushibo can't cut through them. He even admits that if he tries, his sword, made of his own flesh, might start to burn. because Gyome's weapon has absorbed a massive amount of sunlight. When Kokushibo sees an opening and tries to strike, Gyome dodges it with ease. Then, for the first time, his counterattack actually lands, a hit that Kokushibo feels. He's stunned. He didn't expect someone to control such a heavy weapon with this level of mastery. And then comes the power move. Gyome wraps Kokushibo's sword with his chains and snaps it in two. Remember, Kokushibo's blade is part of his flesh, which you can even see in this panel. They both then clash using their respective breathing styles. Surprisingly, Kokushibo's sword regenerates. Yes, he can not only heal his body but also his weapon. This is when Gyome finally takes some damage to his face. That's when Gyome gets serious. He says, "I was saving this for Muzan, but if I lose here, it's over anyway." With no other option left, he activates his Demon Slayer mark. Meanwhile, we cut to Tokito, who finally breaks free from the pole, but he's in bad shape. His injuries are too severe, and he realizes he only has a few hours left before he dies from blood loss. Still, he wants to help defeat Upper Moon 1 however he can. Then Genya approaches him for help, and Tokito is shocked. "You're still alive?" But something's wrong. Half of Genya's body is missing. He then asks for Kokushibo's broken hair strands, those that fell off during the fight. Because like Tokito, he wants to help his brother too. Back to Gyome and Kokushibo. Kokushibo seems almost regretful because of Gyome's Demon Slayer mark. Gyome, confused, asks why. Kokushibo explains, "It's obvious. You're around 27 years old." Gyome just shrugs. "So what?" Kokushibo continues, "Everyone who develops a birthmark like yours dies by the age of 25. No exceptions. And you've already passed that age, which means you could die tonight." He then adds, "You've refined your body and technique to their peak. Doesn't it sadden you to think all of it could vanish tonight?" But Gyome doesn't hesitate. He refuses to be shaken. He says that the whole 25-year limit is outdated, and even if it were true, without the Demon Slayer mark, he wouldn't have been able to defeat demons this powerful. What's the point of preserving your life if you can't make a difference? Gyome starts getting angry. To be born human, live as a human, and die as a human, that's something to be proud of. And here you are, trying to justify your choices by calling yourself flawless. And then, Gyome says something that hits Kokushibo right in his deepest regret. "I just realized, you lied." Kokushibo is stunned. "What lie?" Gyome replies, "There was one exception. One person who surpassed that 25-year limit." Kokushibo goes silent, not only shocked but deeply unsettled. Just as Gyome lets out a slight chuckle and says, "Looks like I hit a nerve," Kokushibo suddenly launches a fierce attack on him. But Gyome skillfully defends himself. Right after this, we see Sanemi. He's in terrible shape. At first, it looks like he might be out of the fight. But then, on the very next page, we see the Demon Slayer mark appear on his face. Sanemi charges into the battle between Kokushibo and Gyome, attacking Kokushibo directly. Seeing Sanemi, Kokushibo is shocked. He didn't expect another marked Demon Slayer. He starts wondering, do all the Demon Slayers of this era have the birthmark? And as Gyome and Sanemi begin coordinating their attacks, Kokushibo suddenly finds himself overwhelmed. For the first time, he's forced to retreat. Then, we shift to Genya, who just ate Kokushibo's hair. And strangely, it wasn't ordinary hair. It held immense power. Maybe it was too pure, because Genya's body starts regenerating at a crazy speed. He begins to think, if the broken piece of his sword lying over there also has power, what if I eat that too? But before he can act, a strange voice echoes in his head. One he's faintly heard before. The voice warns, "Don't let Kokushibo get to the pillars yet." Genya instantly realizes it's Muzan's voice. And now, he's terrified. What is happening to my body? He wonders. Meanwhile, the battle between Kokushibo, Gyome, and Sanemi reaches its peak. Surprisingly, Kokushibo starts praising them mid-fight. Despite being blind, Gyome's attacks are precise. And Sanemi, so fatally wounded that any ordinary person would be down for good, is still moving. Birthmark or not, no one else could fight in that state. And just when Kokushibo thinks he's seen it all, Sanemi stuns him even more, with inhuman reflexes and raw power. Finally, with perfectly synced attacks, Gyome manages to slice off Kokushibo's ear. But they don't stop there. Blow after blow rains down on him, even ripping his clothes. But then, something shifts. Kokushibo suddenly finds an opening. No one knows how, but he strikes both of them with devastating force. Gyome is stunned. What just happened? How did he do that? Realizing the threat these two pose, Kokushibo decides it's time to go all out. If he can take them down, the Demon Slayers lose. We then see Sanemi again. Two of his fingers are gone. That last attack barely missed him. He admits, "If Gyomai hadn't protected me with his chains, I'd have lost both hands." Now he's doubting himself. Will I even survive another hit? Kokushibo's next barrage is brutal. The attacks are so intense that just dodging them feels like a miracle. Fighting back, that's not even on the table. As Kokushibo increases the pace, Sanemi's condition worsens, to the point it seems like it's over for him. But right at the last second, Tokito arrives, saving Sanemi. "You've still got both arms," he says. "That means you're not dying today. You've still got more swordplay left to show." Genya watches all this from the shadows, shaken. Can I even help them? He wants to. But fear has frozen him. That's when Tanjiro's words flash in his mind. The weakest ones often carry the most potential, because the strongest opponents, they ignore the weak. That one thought gives Genya courage. He grabs Kokushibo's blade and swallows it whole. We cut back to the battlefield. Gyomai and Sanemi are barely hanging on, just surviving. Gyomai is baffled. How many attack forms does this demon even have? His strikes just don't end, and his speed is unreal. Kokushibo can read Gyomai's movements so well that he shuts down every attack before it even begins. But then, Gyomai starts to focus. Really focus. And suddenly, he taps into the see-through world. He can feel every pulse, every movement within Kokushibo's body. For a blind demon slayer, this changes everything. Now he can form a perfect mental image of his enemy. And that can flip the entire battle. At the same time, Tokito is analyzing how to get within Kokushibo's range. Even if I can stop him for just a moment. Just one. I know Sanemi and Gyomai will take his head off. Without hesitation, Tokito charges straight at Kokushibo. Seeing this, Sanemi and Gyomai push forward too. They come at him from 3 different directions, but Kokushibo can only block 2. Naturally, he chooses Sanemi and Gyomai. And that's when all 3 strike together. The blow is brutal, but it comes at a cost. Tokito loses part of his leg in the process. As Kokushibo looks at him, a chilling thought crosses his mind. Can this boy see the same world I do? The see-through world? Since Gyomai's attack also managed to reach Kokushibo, he quickly realized that something was off with Gyomai too. That was already surprising, but what truly shocked Kokushibo was that Gyomai had even manipulated his own blood flow just to mislead him and land a different kind of attack. Now, Kokushibo wasn't one to get easily rattled, but he was clearly taken aback. Gyomai had planned this so well that even Kokushibo's battle instincts were getting outplayed. But Kokushibo, being Kokushibo, wasn't going down without throwing surprise after surprise. He smirked and said, "You still haven't managed to reach my throat," and started preparing his next lethal attack. That's when we see Genya appear behind Kokushibo. But this wasn't the same Genya anymore. He had completely transformed after swallowing Kokushibo's sword. And the bullet he fired wasn't ordinary either. Kokushibo tried to deflect it with his blade, but the bullet changed its trajectory mid-air and entered his body. Kokushibo was stunned. But it didn't stop there. The bullet began transforming inside him, taking the shape of a tree, completely paralyzing him. That's when it became clear. This was a blood demon art. And yes, by this point, Genya had turned into a demon. After 400 long years, for the first time, Kokushibo truly felt his life was in danger. The last time he felt something similar was when he faced his younger brother, Yoriichi. And back then, Yoriichi was already 80 years old. Even at that age, Yoriichi stood tall and took a stance that made Kokushibo, the upper moon one, tremble. Just taking that stance was enough to make Kokushibo panic. And when Yoriichi unleashed his attack, Kokushibo had no defense against it. Yoriichi could have killed him right there, but he didn't. And when Kokushibo, furious, tried to strike back, he realized Yoriichi had already passed away due to old age. Now, back in the present, Kokushibo isn't dead yet. Instead, overwhelmed with rage and frustration, he starts pulling out countless blades from his body, unleashing a devastating attack that damages everyone around. Genya is on the brink of death, and Tokito isn't doing much better. Somehow, Gyomai and Sanemi manage to endure the onslaught. Tokito, watching all this unfold, is panicking, because they still have to fight Muzan, and for that, they need Sanemi and Gyomai alive, so he knows he can't let them die. Desperate, Tokito superheats the blade that's lodged inside Kokushibo's body, until it glows red. The heat starts burning Kokushibo from the inside. That's when Sanemi strikes Kokushibo's neck, hoping to finish it. But Kokushibo had forgotten. Genya's bullets were still inside him. Genya uses his blood demon art again, and Kokushibo is left stunned. How is he still using his blood demon art? I thought I killed him. Before he can react, Gyomei seizes the moment and attacks. But one strike isn't enough, so he hits again. Kokushibo blocks it with his sword, barely holding on. Sanemi piles on the pressure with a follow-up strike, and it looks like this might finally be the end of Upper Moon 1. Or so you think, because he still isn't dead. Kokushibo halts his breathing technique and begins regenerating again. Sanemi and Gyomei try everything they can to stop him, but he regenerates his entire head and transforms into something not quite human anymore. He starts boasting about his strength, believing now that only the sun can defeat him. Nothing else. But then, he catches a glimpse of himself in Sanemi's blade, and he's shocked. He sees what he's become, and begins questioning everything. Is this really the face of a samurai? The warrior I always wanted to be? As this thought strikes him, his body begins to disintegrate, starting from his waist. The attack Tokito had landed earlier was still affecting him, and at that very moment, the stone Hashira, Gyomei, delivers a massive blow with his spiked chain ball, tearing Kokushibo's body apart. And finally, Upper Moon 1 is defeated. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more epic videos like this.